Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. Coming to you live here from Gen Con 2018, bringing you board game coverage all week long. But first up, who are we? I'm Matt, and I'm joined here with Matt.
Yes, I'm Matt Shoemaker from Hit 'em with a Shoe Games.
I mean, it's always good when I get another Matt on the stream.
Yeah.
I mean, just,
Yeah,
double the pleasure, double the fun.
Exactly. Not enough Matts out there. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Matt, what have you got to show off to us today?
Yeah, so what I have here is Hit 'em with a Shoe's first game. This is Bee Lives, We Will Only Know Summer. Bee Lives is a medium plus Euro game where you play as a hive of bees that trying to survive through a year of nature. It is for 1 to 4 players, and you go through basically 9 months of the spring, summer, and fall season, and then have to try and survive through a round of winter, which is basically an upkeep phase.
Lovely. So, you're saying this is like a medium weight Euro game. What's the playtime are we looking at?
So the playtime we're looking at is about 30 minutes per player.
Okay.
So, and we have built-in solo variants for this game. I've built in several solo challenges as well as a couple campaign modes and scenarios for people to take on this as well on their own.
Very cool. I mean, that's really cool that you incorporated those solo variants, just because I know that there are a nice amount of gamers that would like to be able to bust out a game if they didn't have the full game group together and get a round or two in themselves. And we're seeing that more and more with games as they're coming out with the solitaire version of it, if you will.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm a solo gamer myself. I love to see that. Plus, it really helps me play out and test strategies, and it's just a nice challenge.
Absolutely. So, why bees?
So we're going with bees. So a little background on myself. I'm a librarian and an educator, and I've been, for part of my job, making games for about a little less than the past decade.
Okay.
So after doing all this, I decided, you know what? Why not, instead of just making games for work, let's make and publish a board game. Part of this past 10 years, 8 of them, in fact, I've also been a beekeeper.
Oh.
And so, as part of being a beekeeper and someone who makes games as a librarian, I figured, hey, let's combine those things. Let's make a game where people can have fun being bees, maybe learn something about them, and challenge each other, and just see how vicious bees can actually be in the real world, perhaps.
I just have this tagline that popped into my head as you were saying that of be all that you can be.
Yes. Yeah, one of the solo scenarios, there's bee puns all over the place, is there can be only one. So, yeah.
Highlander reference.
Exactly.
I like it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, take me through a little bit about the gameplay here. What's the style of the gameplay?
Sure. So this game is primarily focused on worker placement and resource management mechanics here. So what I've got set up here is what it might look like. We didn't actually play this out, but what it might look like in about the 3rd month of the game. So the way these months are determined is we flip over these season cards that determine certain weather effects that will modify kind of the resource gatherings that you can do out here. So what we have here is for 2 players. I'll do the pink one here. It is your hive board. This is where you do all of the management of what goes on inside your hive, where you order your bees around, how you basically manage everybody. So we have on the on your right the comb. This is where you would manage resources. So we have honey here in the yellow. Honey lets you feed your bees and do things like build wax. It's also worth victory points. We have in here these orange cubes. These are pollen cubes. This is how you get new workers, because the larva bees eat the pollen and they grow into adult bees. And then finally we have water, which is needed to cool down your hive when some of these cards over here produce effects known as overheating. So when you have all these in place, and there's 8 actions in the game, 7 of them are outlined down here. You're going to take them with your workers. You're going to do something like scout, which will bring you out to this outside map. So outside into the world is where you do all of your player interaction, as well as with the AI that's in this game with wild hives, which I'll get to in a minute. So when you scout, you put a worker there. You're going to grab 2 tiles out of this bag.
Love the bag, by the way.
Thank you. It's a favorite of mine, too. You get 2 choices. There are 4 different tile types. You're going to choose the one you want. I'm going to take this wet tile here, and then you get to place it down. Now there are 4 tiles. They correspond to the seasons. We have this green one. This is the bloom tile. That's the best in the springtime. We have this orange one here. That's the harvest tile. That's the best in the fall. The yellow is the wilt tile, which is best in summer. And finally, we have the wet tile, which is the only place in the game where you can get the water resource.
And I see the iconography on all of these tiles too, where it's got the really nice art on it, but then it's got the separate, hey, this is the tile that you're looking for. So one thing that I do like to bring that up is because that Josh, one of our team members here, is colorblind.
Yes.
So iconography is just a huge component that we look at when we're looking at games.
That is definitely something that we care about. In fact, we're changing the iconography a little bit. We're keeping the symbols, but if you notice in here, I don't know if you can see this at home or not, but there's color around these. We're going to turn them into kind of a muted gray, so the color doesn't matter anymore. But no, that's definitely very important. That's part of what I do in my game design at work as well as here, is make sure the games are accessible as many ways as possible. And in fact, we're not there yet, but we're working towards language independence with this game as well,
Very cool.
through symbols and iconography. Okay, so we've scouted out here. And then this is also where you're going to go gather resources. So you can take another worker and you can place them on, we'll say, this tile. And because it is now summer, we would only be able to get 1 honey resource and 1 pollen resource for doing that action. That would also increase this little guy over here. He's a Varroa mite that represents your disease or your health of your hive. So the first 2 levels, the zeros don't do anything, but once you get up, bad things happen. Namely, it's going to kill your bees off, whether they're adult bees or your worker bees that are coming to be.
I just have to say, this is a very adorable skull.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's adorably terrifying.
It's exactly what we were shooting for. So perfect. Okay, so once spring is done, and now we've started in summer, this is one of the most unique mechanics in the game, actually, is that if there were 4 players here, there would be 4 of these little islands, right? No one's interacting right now. But whoever was last player at the start of the game is going to take their configuration here and combine it with the other players in whatever strategic fashion they wish.
Oh.
And now the maps are joined, and now you can take the rob and defend actions to kind of interact with each other and try and steal each other's honey. It's a small part to take that in this game, which you don't have to do. You can there are strategies where you completely ignore it, which is fine. It's probably the only real non-Euro aspect to this mostly Euro game.
So this map, I see that it's modular. You've got these hex tiles there. Is this perpetually growing throughout the game? I saw, that we're combining the individual ones, but is it growing and making an overall larger territory?
It is. It's completely getting larger because the tiles, their resource values change per seasons. You're going to need to vary what tiles are around you. You also, through a mechanism known as swarming, can move your hive around the map. So when you swarm, if we look at this blue tile here, there's too many bees in this blue tile. So there's too many bees. You probably can't see this, but there's numbers here that denote how many bees. This hive right now, because it's got a comb value of 10, can only support 5 bees. It has 7 bees. So what that means is half of the bees are going to leave. That will score the blue player some victory points. These bees are going to go over here, and they're going to found this tree stump hive here where the blue player is going to put over here by the pink player to harass them. So now this hive is going to be driven by a little AI. It will either try and rob honey from this hive, or it will use its tokens over here to act as workers to place down and block that player from doing things as well.
So it's acting under an AI then once you lose control of those bees and they start their own hive.
That's right.
Different settlement, different hive.
Exactly. They split off. They left home. Those kids want nothing to do with you anymore. So yeah. But yeah, that's. I mean, I can go in much more detail, but that's the game in a nutshell. I think the one thing I really didn't cover all was the queens. So to add a little asymmetry to this game, we have 4 queen types here. The first one here, which has a feather duster on it, is the hygienic queen. That one, this one right there.
Right here. Okay.
Yep, that one modifies how quickly your disease counter goes. So it only goes up every other time instead of every time when you use that queen. If you could flip that one over.
Sure.
All right, there we have the swarms frequently queen. That one, you basically remember before I said on this blue hive they could only have 5 bees. Well, if they had that queen, they could only have 3 bees. So they're going to make a lot more of these swarms coming out there and going after everybody.
So you're going to harass everyone else.
Exactly, and swarming gets you victory points too, so that also works. The next one up is the aggressive queen. That one, basically, when you use the rob or defend action, every 2 bees you use for that action counts as 3. And the final queen there is the prolific queen. That one gets you more workers. For every 2 of these pollen resources you have, instead of getting 2 workers, you would get 3 workers.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's how that works. The way combat goes, because I didn't really cover that, is let's say this hive's out here now, and this pink hive wants to take it out. Let's say it's a strength 3 hive right here, which is noted here. It's 3 because 3 bees left the blue hive.
That's this marker right here. I think it was behind the
Oh, yeah.
us camera before.
Yep. So that little clear disc there. So we're attacking it with 3 Bs, so I'm going to move them all to the Rob action here. I'm going to roll 1d4. It's a d4 because I'm attacking with 3 Bs. So if I was attacking with 5 Bs, I would roll 2d4. But I don't have 5 Bs. I'm only attacking with 3. So I'm going to roll this d4. I got a 1. That means this guy gets decreased by 1, and I steal 1 honey from them because I'm robbing them is what I'm trying to do. So that's essentially how combat works. It does get a little more complicated than that, but it's basically a dice challenge where there is some player agency, especially if the pink player is to rob the blue can decide to sacrifice some of their workers to prevent the pink player from stealing some of their resources.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, what is like your one favorite aspect of this game? What's one thing that really makes it pop and come off the table for you that you're really proud of in the game design for it?
Yeah, so I think what I'm most proud about this on the game design is really how well the resource management aspects come through. You've really got to be careful. There's really 5 resources in the game. We've got the honey, the pollen, the water. Your workers are also another resource because they can die. They can starve to death if you can't feed them. They also die from disease. You also can spend them in defending your hive, as I've mentioned before. And then finally, there's a resource known as eggs, which is empty cells. You cannot get new workers if you don't have enough spaces for them. So that's the main puzzle in this game, is how you're going to manage this hive to maximize the amount of space you can to get the most points out of everything that you're getting.
Mm-hmm. So given your background as a beekeeper, is it safe to say that there is a lot of scientific accuracy to this?
Oh, yes.
What you're doing?
Yeah, this actually, when I started designing this game, the way I started it was to go with a simulation of what it's like for bees to go through a year, which was a very, very brutal thing. So that would not be very much fun, so I took that simulation and turned it into this game.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be demoing this at Gen Con all weekend, correct?
That's right. We're going to be at booth 3058 in Entrepreneurs Avenue. Mm-hmm. It's the Hit 'em with a Shoe booth. Will be hard to miss. We've got a big banner for the game, and we've got 3 demos of this setup.
Fantastic. And then you're getting ready to launch a Kickstarter for this game, correct?
That's right. We're bringing Bee Lives out on September 10th. It's going to be up on Kickstarter then. We're going to run it for about 28 days.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So where can our viewers go to get more information about this game and the other things going on with Hit 'em with a Shoe?
Sure. So the best thing you can do to follow this game specifically is to sign up for our newsletter. And you can do that by going to beelivesgame.com. That's a plural lives. If you want to learn about Hit 'em with a Shoe, you can just go to hitemwithashoe.com. That's E-M, not T-H-E-M. I'm also pretty active on Twitter if you just want to follow at BeLivesGame.
Fantastic. Matt, is there anything else that you wanted to talk to us about today while we got you here?
I just want to bring up one other thing. We are going to have an add-on for this game because these tiles... stretching that a little bit. That's okay. Since these tiles do move around, it's helpful to have a playmat, so we are going to be adding on this gorgeous little Bee Life playmat on here.
So that's 3 mats on camera right
That is 3 mats on camera right now. So this will be available as an add-on. It's not going to come with the game, but a lot of people have really enjoyed this. It looks great in person in particular.
That's neoprene, right?
That is neoprene, yes.
So is there a price point with that mat as an add-on item, or is that that's still being finalized?
It's still being finalized. It's going to be between 20 and 30.
Nice.
Yeah, but we're still figuring it out.
Very pretty artwork on there, and I like that you've got the key on the bottom there as well.
Yes.
So that's get the quick reference built into that. So
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah, it was very important. We worked with Alina Josan, who's a local Philadelphia artist. This is her first board game, but she does a lot of artwork in the Philadelphia area, and she's done a great job with this. We've got more artwork coming with her. I don't know if you noticed, the cards all have the same picture right now. That is not going to be the case. There's 27 cards in the game. They're all going to have different artwork, more artwork in the rule book, things like that. So there will be more to come. This is just a prototype version of the game that we're getting here to show it all to you so we can get ready and launched in a month.
Very good. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
Really appreciate it. And thank all of you for watching at home. Stay tuned throughout the week here at Gen Con 2018 as we bring you all the board game coverage. Signing off for now, though, I'm Matt. Have a good one.